What's up, YouTube? In this video, we're gonna take a look at CoinOps Next 2 on my PC setup. So in this video, we're gonna talk about how to set up your controls, map your controls for controllers or fight sticks or anything that you will be using to play your games. In my previous video, I had CoinOps Arcadia set up on my arcade 1-up, and this version of CoinOps is CoinOps Next 2, which is a different setup. It has more console games like Nintendo, Super Nintendo, and arcade games. So we're gonna talk about how to set it up for controls, because when you first grab the image and download it, it automatically works with your keyboard, and also it automatically works with an Xbox controller, Microsoft controller. But if you want to use other controllers, PlayStations or fight sticks or anything else, you have to manually set it up. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so on my screen you see the CoinOps Next 2 folder. And then this is the folder directory here. Some of the folders that I'm gonna be covering today is the advanced configs folder, which usually is the first folder. We're gonna talk about the collections folder. We're gonna talk about the emulators official folder and possibly launcher windows. Those are kind of your key important folders. So, okay, first things first, let's talk about how to set up your controls. That's usually the number one question that everyone wants to know. So step one is go to advanced configs folder. You have to go in here. This folder contains these bat scripts files, which basically is just a bunch of settings. The setting you're looking for is called default controls unlocked .bat. So that's the file you're looking for, default controls unlocked. Go ahead and click it. If you blinked, you didn't see it, but it runs a quick command script which unlocks the controls. That's all you have to do. At that point, you're ready. You can go back to your CoinOps. So I'm gonna run it. Okay, at this point, you're ready to map controls. What you do is, let's start off with the arcade games. If I click on arcade games, and then I choose pretty much any game, I'm gonna go with Alien versus Predator. You first have to pick a game. You have to actually pick it, let it load, and then once the game is loaded, this is where when you can set up your controls. You have to press the tab button on your keyboard. Tab button, once again, the tab button, and that will bring up this menu. This menu is the main arcade menu. So from here, then you click on general controls. General controls will set up all your arcade games at one same globally at the same time. Or if you're playing a specific game that you just want to change specific controls, then you would click on this game's controls. But for this video, we're gonna go ahead and click on general controls because we want to set it up for all arcade games. Click on that. Then you get this menu, user interface, and then player one. So let's start off with player one. You click on it. I'm doing all this on the keyboard, by the way. You have to have a keyboard to set it up because, as I mentioned earlier, it automatically works with a keyboard and an Xbox controller. If you want to set it up with fight sticks or PlayStation controllers, you have to set it up with a keyboard. So as you see here, it gives you the option of every single player one control: up, down, left, right. Player one button, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I already have it set up for my fight stick, but that's how you get to this menu. Once you're done with this, you have to click on return to previous menu. It's at the bottom, highlighted. Then you go to user interface. Then here you set up your cancel button. So I'm scrolling down to where it says UI. UI up, down, usually that scrolls through your games, but it'll automatically work with any controller you set up. And then you're looking for UI cancel. UI cancel exits the game. So I have it set up to exit with the escape button on the keyboard or by pressing 2 buttons on my fight stick. So my fight stick has 8 buttons. So most of the time you don't use the last 2 buttons. And if I press those 2 buttons at the same time, it will exit the game. That's all I changed on this menu. Just changing the way you exit the game. And then other controls. This one's important. You have to set up your player start button and your coin button. So player 1, I have it set up as the number 1 number for the keyboard, and then the start button on my fight stick. And then coin 1 is number 5 on the keyboard, and then my home button on my fight stick. Or this can be your select button, depending on what you're using. So that's it. That's all I did here. Of course, if you're setting up a second player, you got to do all this process for player 2. And that's it. You're ready to go. Just say return to game. And that's it. So it's ready to go. Everything's already set up. All right. Now let's go back. Let's go back to consoles. Those are a little bit different. Arcade is easy. Consoles is easy too, but it requires a little bit more effort. So Nintendo, once again, you have to pick a game first. We're gonna pick just really anything, Contra. Okay, this is different. Console games, you have to press the F1 button on your keyboard. F1. There it is, F1. F1 brings the RetroArch menu. The console games run off of RetroArch. So it's gonna bring that RetroArch menu. So this one's a little bit different, but it's easy once you understand how to do it. So here's the menu. You're gonna scroll down to controls right there, controls. And then there's player 1 controls, player 2, player 3, player 4. So we're gonna click on player 1. And then here, it's similar process. You have to pick your up, down, left, right, so this is my up, down, left, right, and then it says the buttons. It kind of shows you a little graphic to represent what button it's talking about. But as you can see here, it detects my Mayflash arcade stick, and it's already set up for the most part. After you finish this process, you have to hit the backspace on your keyboard. Remember to hit backspace because it's important that you do not exit out because it won't save. You have to hit backspace. Backspace, see, it goes back. Then you set up your player 2, and then after that you hit backspace again. And this is important, don't forget to do this step. You have to select overrides because this is where you save it. Click on overrides, then you have to click on save core overrides. What that means that it's gonna save these settings for all your core, which in this case is Nintendo. So all your Nintendo games will have these settings. And that's it. You saved it, you hit your backspace, and then you hit resume, and you're good to go. Okay, here's another tip. While you're in this menu, you can also take off bezels if you don't like them. You just go to on-screen overlay, and then right here just say off, and then backspace. Then don't forget to do the overrides. You always have to do the overrides because it'll save it. Save core overrides, and then that's it. Then backspace, backspace, resume. That's it. See, I took off the bezel. All right, so you're gonna go back. And then you're gonna go to the next console, Super Nintendo. Same process. Super Nintendo also uses the RetroArch emulator. So it's gonna be the exact same process. Click on a game first, then you click on F1, same thing. All right, I'm gonna just go ahead and exit out of here because we've already done that step. Same thing for Sega Genesis. It uses a RetroArch emulator. Same process. Nintendo 64, same process. You guessed it. It uses a RetroArch emulator. The fact that it uses the same emulator that's why it's the same steps. If it was a different emulator, it would be different steps. So, all right, let's go ahead and talk about. Okay, now that you understand how to set up the controls, let's talk about, let's go to the next thing, is your emulators. So your emulators official folder contains your emulators. So here it lists all the emulators that are loaded. The MAME emulator is the one that runs all your arcades, and the XISO official is the RetroArch. So if you scroll through here, it has the RetroArch emulator. The reason I wanted to mention this is just so you understand which emulators are being used. If you had other games like PSP, then you would have to set up the controls for the PSP emulator. Or if you had Dreamcast, same thing, set it up with the emulator. You can actually set it up through the emulator. So if I open PSP, there it is. I don't have any games on it, but you would just go to settings and set it up through here, and that's it. So that's why I wanted to point out the emulators folder so you can access the emulators. And then when next time you run CoinOps, your settings will be set already. So that's a way to set up your other emulators, is actually doing it through the folder. All right, next thing we're gonna look at is, so we talked about controls, we talked about emulators. Now we're gonna look at the collections folder. Collections folder is where all the artwork is at. All your cover art, your logos, all of that is in this folder. So I wanted to point that out. The first folder is Arcade Official. That's the folder that has all your arcade games. So you click on Arcade Official. Let me go ahead and make the folders bigger. Then you click on Medium Artwork. Then you get all your artwork folders. There's a cover folder, logo folder, marquee folder, screenshot folder, vertical folder, and video. So if you click on the cover folder, that's all your backgrounds. Of every single game, it has the collection of all your backgrounds. Let me show you an example on how to switch out backgrounds. So here we are, CoinOps folder. I'm gonna show you how to switch it out, just in case, you know, this is not required to do. This is more if you're trying to, you know, make your own changes on CoinOps. It's a really good front end. It's a really good game collection, so it's nice to make it personal and make it your own. So I wanted to show you the game WrestleMania. As you can see here, WrestleMania has this wallpaper that It's just a made up cartoon wrestler. I don't like that wallpaper. I can actually change it. Same thing for WrestleFest. Who's that guy? I don't like that wallpaper, so I can change it. Let me show you how to do that. So here's the cover folder. That's your wallpaper. I'm going to minimize it and show you. Whoops. I downloaded some images from the internet. And so here I downloaded Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan. So in order to change the wallpaper, you scroll down here, and here's the WrestleFest wallpaper that I didn't like, and the WrestleMania wallpaper I didn't like. Okay, step one is you have to know the file name because you're gonna replace it. So really I gotta do just copy that same file name and here, and then the same file name for here, so it'll replace it. I've already done that. I'm just gonna drag them in, replace files in destination, boom, done, easy. So now we're gonna start up CoinOps again, arcade. We're gonna scroll to the WrestleMania. Bam, Hulk Hogan. Way better than that ugly generic wrestler. And Ultimate Warrior for WrestleFest. All right, so that was pretty simple. Next step. What if you wanna add a game? Like let's say that your favorite game is not on there. Okay, we're gonna go back. Oh, before we go to that, as I mentioned earlier, all your artwork is here. If you go to logos, all your logos are here. You can download new logos from the internet if you need to, but you really don't need to. Marquee. These are all your marquees. If for some reason a certain marquee is not accurate, you can change it out yourself. Just go to the internet, type in WrestleMania marquee, and it'll give you the marquee. All right, so that's a quick overview of the artwork. We're gonna go back to the other folder, emulators, back to emulators. And then we're going to MAME. Let me make this bigger. MAME. And then here, we're gonna go to the ROMs folder. If you have a good understanding of MAME, then this is all simple to you. It's the same way that MAME runs and you're probably familiar with it. But if you're new to MAME, there's a ROMs folder, and then you click on ROMs, and this contains all your arcade games. So what I did is I downloaded a new game. I downloaded Street Fighter 2 Rainbow Edition. That particular Street Fighter game is rare. It was at the arcades, but it was just a rare. It was more like a turbo, super turbo, like hacked version of Street Fighter 2. And I actually played that game at the arcade, so I really want to add it to my collection. So what you do is download the ROM, move it into this folder, and then that's it. Start it up again. So arcades. And then I'm gonna show you something. So we're gonna scroll to Street Fighter 2. Almost there. A lot of games. Okay. Whoops, that's not it. Almost there. Okay, here we go. We added Street Fighter 2 Rainbow Edition, so it's gonna be in here. There it is. That's the one we added. As you can see, I added the game, but I didn't add any artwork. So this is how it's gonna look. There's no logo, there's no marquee, there's no video, but the game works. There it is. And there it is, Street Fighter 2 Rainbow Edition. You can tell it's the Rainbow Edition because the logo is in rainbow colors. So there it is. Game works, all good to go. But what about those artwork? So let's exit out of here. And as we were saying earlier, you have to go to the collections folder. Then you go to Arcade Official, then Medium Artwork, and then here's those folders again. I went ahead and pre-downloaded some images to add it. So I'm going to add the marquee. Oh, before I add it, remember what I was saying earlier? The file name has to match the ROM name. That's very important because it won't work if it doesn't match. So for me, it was SF2RB, which is Street Fighter 2 Rainbow. Once you have it, drop it in. Then here's the video. And I downloaded this one for the wallpaper, the background. So we're gonna move that to cover. All right. We're good to go. We can start it again. This time we're gonna go to my favorites. Actually, I said favorites, but I meant last played. Whoops, did I pass it up? Oh, I put it in the wrong folder. So there you go. There goes my marquee in the wrong folder. That's funny. So, okay, as you can see here, the wallpaper's here, the video's here, and this was supposed to be over here, but that just means that I put it in the wrong folder. But there you go. That shows you how that works. Everything's still working good, but with the artwork. All right, what else did I want to cover in the video? I think we covered everything. I showed you how to do the controls, how to map them, how to add games, how to add artwork, and yeah, I think that's it. So I'm going to show you my fight stick. There it is. Let's go ahead and show you that it works. Whoops. Let's go to, what game should we play? KI. And here's my start button. And just quick gameplay showing my fight stick is mapped and ready to go. All right, guys, I think that does it for the video. If you have any questions, just hit me up on the comments. Hit that like button, subscribe if you enjoyed the video. All right, guys, until the next one, peace.